Coordination, the linking system. In the introductory video, I have covered ideas in the logical order. This order is different from the order given by the textbook. So in this video, we are going to cover the ideas in the order in which they arise in the textbook. So let's begin. First, what is coordination? Coordination is nothing but different parts and systems of our body working together to produce a definite effect. Actually, all the activities that we perform on daily basis is the result of the teamwork done by different parts and systems of our body. This teamwork of different parts and systems of our body is what is called as coordination. Got it? So those of you who have gone through my first video have no difficulty to remember this definition. Right? Yes. Now we observe this coordinate participation of different body parts in the examples given in our textbook are sharpening a pencil, grasping a doorknob, walking, running, driving, balancing body upright at just 2 feet, etc. Not only these activities, for every activity we need coordinate participation of our body parts. But these are the textbook examples. Got it? Yes. I have taken sharpening a pencil as an example to give the detailed picture of coordination in my introductory video. If you want to see that, go back to introductory video for that. And now go to page number 94. There are 2 questions given in the textbook. Let us answer them. The first question is, what other functions do you think needed in coordination and balance? It means you are asked to give your own examples of coordination. I have given walking on rope, playing games, stepping aside when a car is approaching, etc. If you like, you can give your own examples where you find coordination. Actually, every activity that we perform needs coordination and involves coordination. So all the activities, you can say every activity that we perform as an example to coordination. Okay, these were the examples given by me. Next question is, what triggers movement of muscles? Changes going on in environment are the first triggers. Sensory organs detect these changes and send signals to that system within us. There exists a system within us. Our sensory organs send signals to that system which causes appropriate muscular movements. And these muscular movements finally protect us from environment. So there exists a system within us, and to that system sensory organs send signals. What signals? The changes going on in the environment is considered as a signal, and that signal is sent to a particular system in our body, and that particular system will bring about muscular movement. Right? And you know what is that system? What is that system? Yes, it is nervous system. So we have answered both the questions. Next it is responding to stimuli. What is stimuli? Stimuli are the signals of change in environment detected by sense organs. So whatever change that is going on in the environment is continuously detected by our sense organs, and they are called as stimuli. Now what is the response? Appropriate muscular movement or appropriate action that we perform in response to stimuli is what is called as response. So for the stimulus we perform a particular action, and that particular action is what is called as response. First, sensory organs detect changes in the environment. This is stimulus. This information is transmitted and processed by nervous system. After processing, nervous system creates suitable commands and send them to appropriate organs. These commands make the muscles of those organs cause movements, and this is what is called as response. Got it? Some examples are given here. See cat and mouse. Sight of cat is stimulus. Running of a mouse away from cat is response. The mouse was very happy in its own environment. Suddenly a cat appeared in its environment. This is change in environment. Running away is appropriate action to protect itself. This is the response. Next example is a plant growing towards the sunlight. Here the sunshine is the stimulus. Growth of the plant towards the sunlight is the response. If the plant is kept outside, it grows straight, that is towards the sunlight. If it is kept near the window, it grows towards the window because light is reaching it through the window. Keeping the plant near the window is the change in the environment of the plant that we have brought about. Bending towards window is the response shown by the plant. Did you understand this concept? Yes. Now let us come to page number 95. There are two questions given in the textbook. Let's read them. What helps us to respond to such signals? The answer is nervous system helps us to respond to such signals in case of animals. Sequence of events take place within nervous system after we detect changes in the environment. How does a nervous system look like is given in this picture. You can see it looks like a complicated network of threads, right? Yes. Now the second question is, why does the living body respond to such signals? Why should we respond? Yes, it is for our survival. So the answer is for the survival of the organism. In case of rat, it ran away from the cat to protect itself from the attack of cat. Right? Let us now come to activity number 1. So this is the activity number 1. In this activity, the sight of falling stick is stimulus. Your attempt to hold it and stop its fall is response. As shown in this figure, your boy is holding a scale at its top end. Assume that you are holding it at the bottom gently but not firmly. If this boy releases his hold all of a sudden, then the scale falls down rapidly. This is because your hold is not firm but loose. What could be your reaction then? You respond by trying to hold it and stop it. By the time you respond, the scale could have moved too far. Due to this, you can hold the scale not at the bottom but at the top end. That is, by the time you hold the scale, the top end reaches your hold. Got it? So this is the experiment. Now there are few questions asked under this activity. Let us answer. The first question is, could you hold it exactly at the point where it was suspended between your fingers? So can you hold it at the point where you are holding it? Is it possible? No, not possible. By the time you grip the scale, it slides down. So that is the answer. Now how far up was the point from the end suspended between your fingers? So how far at what point you hold the scale as it falls down? Nearly at the top end of the scale. So you cannot hold at this point, but you can hold at least the top end. Why did this happen? Why it happens? The exact point where you are holding it goes down suddenly before you hold it, right? No pattukune lopala adi jaaripotundi. The exact point suddenly went down before I could hold it. That is the answer. How fast do you think the process was? Enta fast ga jarugutundi? It is very fast. It took a fraction of a second. You just see and try to hold it, but by the time the scale moves down and the top end reaches your hand. However, you can hold the scale at least at the top. So now the final question is, what makes this kind of communication possible? So how is this possible that you can hold at least at the top? There is some communication going on. The communication system is stimulus response system. So there is some stimulus and you are responding to that stimulus. Here the stimulus is sliding scale and your response is gripping it. This is what is the communication system, and that system is making you hold the scale at least at the top. Got it? So these are all the questions. We have answered all of the questions. Now let us move to the next topic, integrating pathways, nervous coordination. The central idea of this is there are two pathways in our body. One pathway carries signals from sense organs to the nervous system, and the other pathway carries commands from nervous system to the moving organs, or the organs which have to respond. Okay, these two pathways are integrated. It means they are interlinked. This is what is called as nervous coordination in this context. So there is coordination. It means teamwork between sensory pathway, that is the pathway that moves from sense organs to nervous system, and the pathway that comes from nervous system to moving organs. These two pathways are interlinked, and this interlinking is what is called as nervous coordination. Got it? This is based on Gallants observation. Gallen was a famous physician. He had made an observation. Let us see what was his observation. A chariot was riding at an uncontrollable speed. He fell down from the cart and got injured at the neck. He lost sensation at neck. We also expect that he cannot move his neck, but against our expectation, he could move his neck. This shows that there are two pathways. Sensory messages pass through one pathway and action commands pass through another pathway. Let us come back and see what exact words are given in textbook. So what was Gallant's observation? A chariot fell down and received neck injury. He lost sensation at that part, but he could easily move that part any way he liked. From this, what was his conclusion? Nerves are of two kinds, those of sensation and those of action. There is a question given in the textbook. Let us see what it is. Why do you think Gallant draw such a conclusion? The answer is the patient could easily move the injured part of the neck even though he lost sensation there. So though he has lost sensation at that part, he could easily move. So we can say that there are two pathways and there are two kinds of nerves working on there. Got it? Now let's see activity number 2. This is about basic unit of nervous system, that is the neuron. Neuron is otherwise called as nerve cell. So our nervous system is made up of a special kind of cells called neurons. We can call them as nerve cells. In this activity, you are asked to observe the permanent slide of nerve cell under microscope. You can find permanent slides in your lab and you need to take it and observe under microscope to study its parts. After studying its parts, you need to compare those parts with the diagram given in the textbook. So let's see what all parts that you can see under microscope. A nerve cell consists of three major parts. Cyton, we can also call it as cell body, axon, this is the axon, and then dendrites. What is a cyton? This is the actual cell. This is the cyton. This is the actual cell. It has nucleus, it has cytoplasm, and you can also find different cell organelles under electron microscope. So under normal microscope you can see a cell body. This is the cell body. It has nucleus and cytoplasm. You can also find certain granules in the cytoplasm. It is not shown in this figure, but you can see some dot-like structures, and they are called as Nissl granules. So Nissl granules are characteristic to nerve cells. They are present only in the nerve cells. So it is the cell body. This cyton consists of many cytoplasmic projections around it. The small projections which are highly branched, they are called as dendrites. So these cytoplasmic projections which are branched and short, they are called as dendrites. So these arise from cyton as small projections with many branches. So what are dendrites? Dendrites are nothing but cytoplasmic projections, and they are short and they are branched. Right? Now what is axon? Axon is also a cytoplasmic projection, but it is very long and is branched at its tip, and these branches are called axon terminals. So what are the branches that are present at the end of the axon called? They are axon terminals. For some of the neurons or nerve cells, the axons are covered with a sheath-like structure, and this sheath is called as myelin sheath, and this myelin sheath is made up of a fatty material. So what is it made up of? It is made up of a fatty substance. So this fatty substance insulates the neuron. It is like an insulation. If you have observed any electric wire, you find copper wires inside and insulation outside. So these axons are also like electric wires. They carry messages, right? And over it they need insulation. Otherwise, the information may leak out of the neuron and go to other neuron. This should not happen. That is why it is covered with a fatty material, which is like insulating substance. Got it? And if you observe this fatty sheath, it is not continuous. It has breaks here and there at regular intervals. Not here and there, at regular intervals it has breaks. And these broken points are called as what? They are called as nodes of Ranvier. So the breaks that are present on the myelin sheath are called as nodes of Ranvier. So these are the structures that you can observe when you take the permanent slide of a nerve cell under microscope. So what are the three parts? Cyton, dendron, dendrites and axon. Cyton is the key body, cell body of the nerve cell. It contains a nucleus and all other cell organelles. The characteristic of nerve cell is the cytoplasm consists of granule-like structures, small dot-like structures called Nissl granules. Okay, next the dendrites. Dendrites are nothing but small cytoplasmic process which are branched. Axon is a long cytoplasmic process which has branched ends, and the branched ends are called axon terminals. Some of the axons have myelin sheath over them, and the myelin sheath is not continuous. It has breaks, and those breaks are called as nodes of Ranvier. So this is very important for the exam. You may be asked to draw a nerve cell and explain the structure of it. So hope you all understood. Now let us see how these nerve cells are interconnected with each other to form a complicated network in our body. So for this, look at this picture. You find two neurons here. This is one neuron, this is another neuron. These two neurons are connected at this region. This region of contact at which these two nerve cells are connected is called as synapse. So what is synapse? Synapse is the region of contact between two neurons. So any two neurons of our body, they are connected with each other by synapse. So what do you find in this synapse? Synapse is actually connection between dendrites of one nerve cell to the axon terminals of the other. So the dendrites of this neuron, the axon terminals of this neuron, they are in contact. They are connected, and this connection is called as a synapse. But these connections are not physical contacts. As you are seeing, they are physically linked, but actually they are not physically linked. There is a minute gap between dendrites of this neuron and the axon terminals of this neuron. These minute gaps are the points where the information jump from a nerve cell to another nerve cell. So the information carried by this nerve cell jumps across the gap and then go to the next nerve cell. This information is in the form of electrical or chemical, or sometimes both. So what all the information, sensory information, or the commands sent by brain, all that information passes through the neurons via these synapses in the form of electrical or chemical signals, or sometimes both. Now let us understand stimulus to response pathways. Pathways are the routes along which signals flow. So pathways are nothing but are neurons, because it is through neurons the information or signals flow. Right? If the neurons carry sensory information from sense organs, then we call them as sensory neurons. If they carry action commands, we call them motor neurons. These two neurons are interconnected by interneurons as shown in the next diagram. See here. So, this is sensory neuron, this is motor neuron, and these two are connected via interneuron. Got it? So on the basis of pathways, neurons can be classified as sensory neurons, motor neurons, and interneurons, otherwise called as association neurons. Got it? Sensory neurons are also called as afferent neurons. They carry messages from muscles or sense organs to brain or spinal cord. The nerve endings in muscles or sense organs actually detect stimulus, that is changes in the environment, and send that information to brain or spinal cord. Here the nerve endings in muscles or sense organs means nerves diffused throughout the muscles and sense organs. These diffused nerves, they carry messages from these muscles and sense organs and send that information to brain or spinal cord. Got it? Next it is motor neurons. They are also called as efferent neurons. They carry messages from brain or spinal cord to parts that should respond, that is muscles. Regarding association neurons, they link together afferent and efferent neurons. Look here, this is afferent or sensory neuron, this is efferent or motor neuron. These two neurons are connected by association neuron. So this is the association neuron. We can call it as interneuron also. So association neurons can also be called as interneurons. Got it? Here is the schematic that shows afferent and efferent pathways and association neurons connecting these two pathways. Left side arrow indicates a pathway from muscles or sense organs to brain. Right side arrow indicates the pathway from brain or spinal cord to the muscles of the organ. So this is that pathway. This is afferent pathway, this is efferent pathway. Organs connected to afferent nerves or sensory nerves are called as detectors because they detect stimuli, and organs connected to efferent nerves or motor nerves are called as effectors because they cause movement. There are two questions given on activity 1 with the perspective of afferent nerves, efferent nerves, detectors and effector. Let us answer them so that you can understand this concept well. So which organ of your body was the detector and which organ is the effector in activity 1? See here. So what is effector and what is a detector here? Yes, eye was the detector and fingers are the effectors. Okay. So that was given here. Eye was the detector and fingers are the effectors. Next question is, what do you think that the information carried on the afferent and efferent nerves? Here, the information carried by afferent nerve is scale is falling. Next, information carried by efferent nerve is the command hold the scale. So, first, the scale is falling is the sensation that reaches brain. Hold the scale is the command that comes from the brain. Got it? So with this we are ending first video and will continue the next topics in the second video. Thank you.